Hello, welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, on a beautiful sunny day, only a couple days into January. It's kind of my day off, I guess. All my days look the same. What you see behind me is what I do most every day. I go between here and the house. I'm a domestic goddess up there, and down here I wear old shirts with somebody else's name on them and get dirty. So today's project started out simple enough. I walked into the shop and I have plenty of things to do, choosing one that seemed appealing. So sitting on the bench is this 27 spline Powerglide TH350 style yoke, 1350 U-joint, and it has a hole in the end of it. So I figured I'd fire up the TIG welder, weld the hole shut, because I don't need the hole. That's made for this to go into a cup and all stuff I don't need. And then I was going to clear silicone the end of it. Now that sounds hokey, but all the yokes I've bought from NASCAR country, even when they don't have a hole, they still silicone the end because they don't want a silly leak to put them out of the race. Well, same thing. So I'm not a big fan of silicone, as we all know, but here, you're never gonna see it. It's even Genuine Spicer. I see it right now. So that's a good yoke. I found it out in the shed when I was moving stuff around, and one of the 4-speeds down there needs a yoke. So that's what I was going to do. Now, before I just fired up the welder, I do have to give my last little inverted TIG credit is it doesn't leak gas. When I shut the bottle and turn the regulator down to off, it'll sit there for months. And when I crack the bottle back open, nothing even moves. That's awesome. So I kind of tend to use it for utility stuff where the other ones will leak down and you don't lose that much gas, but you still lose some. So hey, why not use the one that's the most economical? Plus, I kind of like it. So it would not have been a big deal just to do that, but in the back of my mind, I have wanted an engine lifting sling. Now I have other ways of lifting engines. This one's LS specific. But these require removal of the carburetor or the intake. You know, the LS style intakes are very boxy and big. And if you have a blower or a tunnel ram or something big to normally lift the engine, you got to take that off, or you've seen them, the professionals always have them, the bar with the 4 nylon straps with bolt holes in them. And that's how they sling their engines complete. I got the tilter that everybody has, but this works. It's okay, but it doesn't replace what I'm trying to do. Excuse the noise. I'll shut you off for a second. Sorry about the noise. So I wanted an engine sling. Now, I don't know how your budget works, but my fun budget, the money where you can, spend money on your bad decisions or bad habits. Again, most all my bad habits are right behind me in the field of vision. I don't have a lot of other hobbies. This is it. So I don't feel guilty spending, a very small amount of money compared to, you got to pay your bills and all that stuff, but hopefully there's a little bit left over and you can do fun stuff. That's what makes life worth living, I suppose. I guess it's all good, but let's stay on subject. So I wanted an engine sling. Jegs and Summit, they're just over $100, but I'm sure that's a disappointing imported thing. I don't know anybody that has one. The next step is like the Pit Pal, that's over $200. You can go all the way up to like the chassis shops. They all sell them for probably $300 or $400. I haven't looked lately. They get pricey. Now, my fun money, I spent most all of it last November. Unfortunately, even before Black Friday, I put a massive hole in my budget buying all the LS parts because an opportunity opened up and I pretty much bought everything to build this really good LS motor for the Race 55 that I had hoped to have someday. Well, someday already happened. So you just suck it up. I focused all my money on that. Now I got to replenish it. So in that time frame, I get a little more thrifty. So where I might indulge and spend a couple $100 on engine sling, I'm going under the bench looking for raw material. I'll just make my own. I'm in the mood to do it today. I had a situation the other day. I wanted to lift an engine with an intake, and it wasn't as easy as it should have been because I've wanted one of these for 20 years. So this want became a need, I guess. So I have to use material I have. I actually did look online for some type of sling that might have bolt holes in it instead of triangles, but I broke one of my favorite straps I'd have for 20, 30 years or more. It was probably time. So I bought a bunch of straps, and a lot of them were a kit, and they came with axle straps too. These go around your axle, you hook your tie down to it, they're really slick. But I got plenty of sets of these, so I had another 4-pack of these. So these are rated much higher than, say, the $100 Jegs or Summit engine sling. These break at 10,000, if you can believe it, and a working load of 3,333 pounds each. So I don't think these will be the weak link. They have the nice straps, so you're not going to wear on things. All I had to do is come up with a way to adapt that. So let's start with the basics. I had a piece of roll cage tubing. I actually cut a roll cage out of a car a few years ago. I saved all the pieces. It didn't look this shiny until I polished it up. I didn't cut it. It just happens to be the length, and I think it's pretty much what you're going to buy if you hold it over the engine sideways. Now these slings, you could go front to back, but that kind of defeats the purpose of it. It'll still probably clear your intake manifold, but it's probably going to hit the firewall and everything else. If you turn it sideways, left to right, and hook down to the exhaust bolts of the cylinder heads, now there's nothing between you and the firewall and the radiator. You're just side to side where not much is going on when you're lifting out an engine. So I got a piece of tubing, polished it up, marked the center. Pretty simple. Found another piece of round stock over by my press, sawed it off. It's going to be my lifting eye. When I build stuff like this, I don't want to build in a weak link that will negate having strong straps. I want everything to be as equal as possible. I guess there's always a weak link, but let's have it so overbuilt that it's not going to be a concern. So for the ends of the tubing and how to attach these nylon straps, I thought about a piece of flat bar and a couple of holes and some big washers, and that seemed kind of hokey. So over to the scrap, piece of 1 3/4 round stock. It's 4140. It didn't machine that hard or cut that hard, so I haven't looked up the properties of that, but I made 2 round discs, pretty thick, 3/8 of an inch. One of them I drilled and tapped 3/8 course. Found a shouldered bolt, so when the shoulder is against this, because there's no way I'm going to be able to get to the nut, because that's going to be up in there. And I wanted my straps to be loose, so the shoulder's going to tighten up there. And the result on this end, when that's tight, these still move, so you can hook on either end of the engine. That end is solved. Now this end, I could have just put a bolt and a washer into the exhaust port or something, but I think we can improve on that. The ones you buy have a piece of flat bar with a hole in it, so that's exactly what I did. And I will carefully weld these onto the end of each one. I'll probably tie a wet rag. I don't think the heat, I'm going to TIG weld it, and I'll try to go fast. But a wet rag wrapped around the nylon, and if I just weld one side at a time, I don't think I'll hurt the strap any. I don't care if it takes me an hour and a half, I'll just weld a little bit at a time. And that's going to end up being a couple inches of weld around there, so that won't be the weak link. Trying to think ahead, the actual hole where you'd put the bolt through into the cylinder head or the port, I went ahead and went all the way to 1/2 inch, because the bolt I use, be it 3/8 or whatever, is going to have a washer on it. So in this case, if you had to put all the way up to a 1/2 inch hole, whatever you can reach, I don't know what I'm going to use it on, probably a Chevy, and that's not going to be a problem. 3/8 or M10 1.5 is about as big as I'm going to encounter. But thinking ahead, because it would stink if you got ready to use this thing, and the hole to where you actually attach it wasn't big enough. So in this case, bigger was better, I believe. And we're back. It's tough to get it all in frame. Always, like I said, afraid to build the weak link. Speaking of the weak link, yeah, this isn't my name. eBay shirt. We've covered it a few times. I ended up bending a strap over the ring. I welded the ring to the tube just to make sure that it's strong enough. Put the safety tab over it. The other end of the straps welded just fine. Again, there's 4 of these, so, and it's welded both sides. I welded one side laying on the bench, welded all one side, let them all cool, flipped them over, did the other side. Not so much as any smoke or any discoloration up on the top. That worked out pretty good. These all swivel. You can hook it up to your exhaust manifold bolts or whatever. I'm gonna have to call it a win. Save myself some money. It doesn't offset what I spent on engine parts, but hey, that's okay. every little bit counts. This is a fun project. Didn't take that long once I realized I had to put a little work into it. At first, it's like, man, there must be a simple way to do this that's not gonna take a lot of time. There's no shortcuts. You gotta, make the parts and stick them together. My Alpha TIG 203 XI worked flawless as usual. I go back and forth. It's a digital machine, with a screen. I almost bought the knobbed machine. I think I'd be just as happy most of the time because I forget how to run the Alpha TIG, but it's pretty intuitive, so I own it. It is what it is. It'll be here for a while. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll cut the straps off or not. Getting the tags off the straps. We'll see. Anyway, this was fun. Thanks for watching. Get out there and build something. And don't be the weak link. Catch you later.